Hey, this is RuPaul's Drag Race, Season 11, Episode 8, Snatch Game at Sea. So, we are about halfway, a little past halfway. I want to thank the 100 or so people who watched my recap. I don't have John, who's like the best sidekick ever and far funnier than me. And this is going to be a little bit of a mumsy, I guess, way to say it, recap, because the biggest topic here is Silky. And I personally feel kind of bad for her because the best place to be, okay, so in terms of like Drag Race, I've said this before, there's the competition is 100,000, which is an amazing prize, but there's also a career. Basically everyone is competing for a post-Drag Race career. And so the money's a huge thing. The best place you can be is someone like Bianca Del Rio, which is exposed to a larger audience. The audience loves her. RuPaul loves her, gets 100,000 and an amazing career. That is the best place to be. But assuming you don't win, the second best place to be is to be a fan favorite. These are the people who, and a lot of times, RuPaul and Michelle and all of them don't see the potential the way we do, like the Trixie, or the Katya, or the Manila, where they're tougher on them than the audience is, and the audience loves them. Katya is a great example, and so is Trixie. Manila, RuPaul has always liked, but is a fan favorite. But all of them, they're likable as people, they're funny, so just talking is funny, they have interesting points of view, they do great talking heads. Katya is like the queen of talking heads. I love Trixie too, I love all of them, there's tons of them I love. But that is the best place to be. If you can't win, that's the best place to be, because the audience kind of surges behind you, especially if RuPaul is a little bit like tough on you, then the audience comes in and the fan base goes, what are you talking about? You're sleeping on them. I'm such a stan. So that is the best place you can be. One of the worst places to be is if RuPaul likes you more than the fans do, because the fans want to equalize that, that teeter-totter. So RuPaul saying, you're so great. And the fans are like, boo. And that's where Silky's at. Now, to be clear, I'm not a big fan of Silky. I could have left her. I'm going to look at my little references. I could have lost Silky. Almost everything that she's won, I've been like, eh. I've said before, if you look at my previous recaps, I feel that all of her outfits are the same. Like, technically they're different. Like, they're separates, or they're a long gown or a short gown. But to me, they're all, they call them like bandage dresses or body conscious, bodycon. They're just take the shape of her body, cover it with fabric as tight as possible, and that's what all her outfits are. I don't have any problem with the shape of her body or the size of her body, but in terms of silhouettes or how she's using her body, they're all the same. So the same critique they're giving Vanjie, I feel like they should be giving Silky. Silky, we've seen this design before. All you're doing is taking a fabric and wrapping it around your body and sewing a single seam. I'm not interested. And I feel like episode after episode they're doing that. And they're giving Vanjie a hard time, which, reasonably I get. But they're not doing that to Silky. Also, they think Silky's a lot funnier than I do. So RuPaul, I think, is having a genuine like of her, and the fans are not. And then combined with, she is having issues with fan favorites. So I feel bad for her because I might not like her as a drag performance. She might not be my favorite, but a lot of people dislike her because they feel that she's getting too much support from RuPaul. That's not her fault. She didn't bribe RuPaul. Sometimes RuPaul's just kind of out of step. I mean, she's not a perfect tastemaker. She liked Tyra Sanchez. And I was like, and that was a huge mistake. Tyra's been a huge mess. I think RuPaul over the seasons, I was never crazy about BB Zahara Benet. Cameroon. I wasn't anything bad. I just wasn't that excited by it. And I think, long term, fans agree. It's just not that exciting. Fifi was around forever. Wasn't that excited about it. The ganja. Ooh. Anyway, so the worst place you can be, so I feel bad for Silky because she is in probably the worst position for this season, which is she's getting all this feedback from RuPaul about being loud and talking over people and talking about her body and talking about food, and the fans aren't seeing it, but she's going off of only her experience. Anyway, so this is a long, boring, I will now get into the episode. I am so sorry. I just want to be one of those fans that are so mean. So anyway, Silky and Evie, they, Silky's bad with Evie, this is a perfect example. So, Vanjie and Evie make up. To me, it seems pretty, sincere. Evie goes to, this is kind of later in the episode, goes to Silky and says, I was wrong. I shouldn't have called you untalented. You clearly are talented. You did a great job. And Silky's like, and like hoping the worst for Evie. And that's like not a great place to be with all of the fans. The Snatch game was probably one of the worst Snatch games. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't find Silky that funny. I thought, they gave Vanjie a hard time because she did essentially herself. I felt that's what Silky did. Plastique did the same kind of voice as last time. The same character did not land very well. Nina, I thought, was head and tails above almost everyone else except Sugar Cane. I thought Sugar Cane did a great job, except it wasn't really that funny. I don't know. It didn't seem like anyone was that funny. I don't know. This was like one of those things where I watched it and I wasn't like, oh, this is terrible. But it was so forgettable. And I just, now if I look back, it was no Little Edie. There was no Judge Judy. It was a little bit more like the first Snatch game, which was a mess. So anyways, they did that. They did the book thing, which is such a RuPaul thing. I appreciate that they do product tie-ins. I also appreciate that they just unapologetically are like, here's a product tie-in. I appreciate that. We go through it. Now, this was the big thing. They get down to the end. Brooklyn and Evie are the bottom. Now, at this point in the seasons, it is pretty standard that there is at some point a double save. There's been times when RuPaul has used them too soon. My guess is she knew coming into this that this could possibly be a double save. But they had to, if one of them's awful, usually she'll cut. She saved doubles where I was like, oh, okay, well, whatever. But if anything was right for a double save. So I was like, I really want this to be a double save. You get like 30 seconds into the lip sync, 10 seconds into the lip sync, and you go, oh yeah, this is going to be a double save. There's been some comparisons to when Sonique did it with all the gymnastics. The difference is they were doing all this and lip syncing. Like, the lip syncing was dead on, the crazy acrobatics. Some people have been like, Brooklyn did the whole, I'm going totally out of order here, but Brooklyn, when she did her runway, did the reveal with the wig. And it was a great strategy, which is she said, I screwed up Snatch game. I've got to do whatever I can for the runway. I don't think she deserved to be in the bottom. I think they should have put Vanjie in the bottom, not because I think Vanjie did a worse job, but because I think that's exactly the way the rules work, which is, the runway was so good to kind of even it out a little bit. I was kind of surprised Plastique didn't make it to the bottom. Tiffany Haddish looked like her, sounded like her, was boring, so I could have been okay with Acaria being down there. It was kind of there was a few at the top. RuPaul really liked Silky, and I just didn't see it. I didn't think it was bad. It certainly wasn't the bottom. It just wasn't a win for me. I would have done Nina. I think and this is the thing, is Nina is totally online to be, if they doesn't make top 3, fan favorite, because first of all, the walk is still a little weird. It wasn't as extreme as the previous week, but it was still a little like front 2 legs of a horse, so that was a little weird. Last thing, everyone's getting on, or Carrie is getting on Plastique and Untucked about the story, and I thought the story was pretty clear. She has a strained relationship with her family. The idea is her family kind of knows what's going on, but wants to pretend they don't know. So it's kind of like, you can come, but we don't want to see it, is kind of what it's like. So you can come, but he's your friend or your roommate, and we don't want you to talk about your job. I thought that was pretty clear. Maybe they didn't hear everything. I didn't think it was that weird. I don't think it's really appropriate to be like, basically accusing someone of lying because the story wasn't what you thought when you said that they were having problems with their families. You thought they were completely estranged and didn't talk ever, but they actually do talk, but it's really strained. It's like, I don't know. They just have a problem with her. But at the same time, I'm okay with Plastique going soon. I still don't know a lot about Plastique. So right now at this point, Brooklyn and Evie were really evenly matched. Brooklyn had been in the bottom once before. Evie had never been in the bottom, had been at the top every week except the very first week. So I think that they were matched pretty well, but Brooklyn had 2 wins to Evie's 1, so they're very close. This is very RuPaul's Drag Race to like bring the top to the bottom and be like, that way when they rise again, it's all the more dramatic. This is very, very on brand with the show. I think we're going to see a Carria go soon. I'm okay with, I think Plastique's going to go soon. I think Sugarcane is another one that is not getting their due. Her Charo was very good. The runway was great. I would have liked her win over Silky. Let's see. I'd like to see Silky go. I just don't think she's strong enough. I don't want to see her in the top 3, but there's usually someone I don't want. Unfortunately, I think Vanjie's gonna go soon. I love Vanjie. I think I would watch a whole show with Vanjie. Find them very entertaining. I would be more likely to go as I ever left at night my house. I would be more likely to go to Vanjie, go see Vanjie than a lot of people. So. Yeah, so there you go. So hit me up in the comments. Tell me who you think is going to be, who is your ideal top 3? Who do you think is going to be in the top 3? Because those are not the same. I think there's a good chance Silky could end up in the top 3 because I think RuPaul likes her a lot. I don't think, that's not who I would put in the top 3. So who would you put in the top 3? And we'll see you again, I guess in a few days.